Hello, people. Welcome to Pass the Parsley. I'm your host, Tyler Felix, and this week I will be talking about this past fight card and news. There was a lot of news this fucking week, people. Well, just in the past 2 days. It's crazy, but quickly, I will go through my previous bets. I got 2 out of 3, right? So that brings my total to 6-3, people, right? Which is good. Because in betting, if you have anything over 55%, you're golden. And right now, I'm 6-3, people, which is good. So, anyways, the two I got was the main fight with Kevin Holland and Derek Brunson, right? My bet was for it to go over 2.5 rounds minus 112. That one I got right. The other one I got right was Trevin Giles versus Roman Doloditsky. I still don't know how to say this guy's name. They said it on air. I forgot it. This fucking shit's boring, huh, people? I mean, how do I make this more entertaining? I don't know what to do. It's like I'm trying to convey this information, but not be boring sack of shit at the same time. And I have to say, mission failed, people. Mission failed. But anyways, I got those two picks right. So if you got those two, then you're fucking walking to the bank. Walking to the bank. If you bet $100 on all three, you would make something like $280 profit. You are welcome. You are welcome. Anyways, the one that I got wrong was Montel Jackson versus Jesse Strader, and boy did I get that wrong. Jesse Strader got rolled over, man. Montel Jackson looked very, very good. The bet that I had was for it to go over 1.5 rounds, and it was minus 112. And that one I got completely wrong. Like the kid got smoked in 90 seconds. But 2 out of 3 people, not bad. Not bad at all. And if I just keep this up, then you will guarantee to make money. As long as I could get 2 out of 3 every single week. On average, I'm fucking 6-3, people. So it's fucking working out. But yeah, so this fight card. Let's first talk about the main fight here. I mean, I know that there's nobody fucking listening, but just in case if there's one person, let's break down this card. Kevin Holland versus Derek Brunson. That was a great fight, man. That was a great fight. And Brunson did exactly what I thought. I kind of called it in the last show where I thought that Derek Brunson's wrestling was really going to be the difference maker in this fight, and it definitely was. It definitely was. I mean, he grinded Holland, right? He just old school grinding, and it fucking worked, man. I mean, there was a lot of talk because Kevin Holland was talking a ton, or was talking to fucking Dana White, and then all this, and then Dana was saying that Kevin Holland had a mental breakdown. It's what? What are you saying, dude? He's literally fought this same exact way literally every fight that I've seen. Kevin Holland has never not fought this way. And it's crazy because it's just in a loss that people really criticize and just try to break you down, he lost because he had a mental breakdown, but people, calm the fuck down, slow your goddamn roll, because I guarantee that when he rocked Brunson in the fucking second round, that if he KO'd him there, that Dana wouldn't be saying shit, but just how much he loves fucking Kevin Holland. So, and then all of a sudden this guy fucking loses, and then he has a mental breakdown and all this crazy shit. It's no. Kevin Holland fights that way. It's him talking and and all that had nothing to do with his loss, right? Kevin Holland lost because he couldn't stop that takedown, and then when he was on his back, all he did was stay in guard. He really didn't. He really wasn't, like, he worked for submissions, but he wasn't really working for anything else, like, besides that. He wasn't trying to get back up. He wasn't trying to sweep him or, like, anything like that, which I could see why, because Brunson's a very strong guy, so trying to do that, you could waste, a lot just trying to get him off of you, and it may be futile. But there were some points where I understand that, the first 3 rounds, but in the 5th round or the 4th round, I mean, I don't necessarily get it, but it's just demoralizing when a guy just takes you down and just hold you down, and I think that that's what he, experienced there. That he was just in that mode of like, oh, this dude's just fucking gonna just hold me here, and then he kind of just, not like let him, but I feel like he, it was like a Islam against Drew Dober. Man, I fucking stuttered really bad right there. My God, but it's fine because fucking nobody's listening. But anyways, Islam versus Drew Dober, right? That fight I feel like was like the same thing where like Islam was just taking him down at will and he was just holding him down, and then Drew just kind of was just like, fuck, I can't get up, so I'm not gonna try. and I think Holland went through that same thing, and you could definitely see that by what he was telling his corner. He was just like, it's like, I can't stop that fucking takedown, bro. It's like, I can't. I was like, I'm trying. He's literally saying, like, bro, I'm trying to stop that fucking takedown. I just can't stop it. It's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And it's like, realistically, in that moment, not much. I mean, you can't, give him some advice that'll suddenly give him, a decade's worth of fucking wrestling, right? It's like there's really nothing that Holland could have done there besides what he did, like, which I think that's why he was going for subs instead of trying to get back up, because he was just trying to finish him instead of, trying to get back up and get on the feet and all that. Which, by the way, Brunson's striking was, I don't know, like, since he went to Henry Hooft, his striking just seems like it almost, not taking a backward step, but it's like they trying to have Derek Brunson fight conservatively, which, granted, he should, because he fought very recklessly, right? And he would just hurl his body, like, across the fucking cage. And if one of those punches landed, you're fucking going out. But that style, if you don't get that knockout, it leaves you extremely tired. It leaves you vulnerable. So I could definitely see why he changed his style. But that is Derek Brunson, right? That crazy rushing forward. So I would like to see what Justin Gaethje did, right? Where it's like you don't get rid of that completely. You just do it in bursts, and you find those right bursts. Where it seems like Derek Brunson, like I could literally only think of once where it was like Derek Brunson, like, like the old Derek Brunson, like fucking rushing in with like a 5-punch combo, winging bombs, and if anything lands, it's fucking over. Which, I mean, it could just be because Holland is a very good striker and Brunson got rocked early, so that could have just been in like the back of his head where he didn't want to take those risks. But yeah, but his wrestling, as always, has looked very good. I will say right now, he is the best wrestler in that entire weight class. And if you think differently, name me someone better. I can't. The only close one is Gastelum, and Gastelum fucking doesn't even wrestle now, guy. Like, he fucking is pretty much like a boxer, and I mean, Derek Brunson out-wrestled Yoel. Took him down 3, I think maybe 4 times. Was dominating Yoel. And then got cracked at, like, the end of the 3rd round. So it's like, Derek Brunson's wrestling is legit. And I think he can do that to every single guy in that fucking weight class. Every single guy. Including Izzy. But his striking still just that's definitely his biggest weakness by far, which I feel like it's such a slight it's such a not slight balance, like I can't really think of the word, but it's such a delicate balance, right? Where it's like with a guy like Brunson, where you don't want him to just kind of sit back and fight patiently, because that's not how he fights, right? Or that's not how he did fight, right? And that's not, I feel like Derek Brunson sitting back and fighting patiently isn't his best opportunity to win, right? Because he's just not that style of fighter. His striking style, his striking skills is not conducive with that safe kind of backwards moving, kind of throwing shots here and there, trying to counter, and he's just not that type of striker, and he doesn't necessarily have that skill set. But what he is very athletic. He's probably the fastest guy in that fucking weight class, potentially the strongest too, and potentially is the best wrestler in that entire weight class, which like a lot of people have been sleeping on him like for years, but Derek Brunson has always been a guy that has had the abilities, right? He has the potential to be champion, right? But he's just never been able to string, consecutive wins where he could beat top dudes and get a shot, right? Now, if he fought Izzy, do I think that the second fight would go any different than their first fight? No. I mean, I really don't, because I think that Brunson's striking is a real problem. And what he had before was that, recklessness, bull in a china shop. So it's like you have to be very, very cautious. But now Derek doesn't necessarily have that. So I feel like, it's a different mindset now when fighting this Derek Brunson versus fighting, the older Derek Brunson. Which I'm not saying that, like, the older Derek Brunson was, like, better, because I don't think he was. Like, I think he's definitely the best now that he's ever been. But I think if he could work on that striking and honing back in that recklessness, but Justin Gaethje style, right? Where it's like, it's conservative recklessness. I'm not sure, like, if that makes sense, but it's just like, it's controlling in bursts and finding those bursts. And it's not just about, just going full clip 24/7. And then it's not just about fighting safe and trying to counter, right? There's a delicate balance. And I think Brunson has still yet to find that. At least in the cage. Like, I'm sure in sparring it's different. I'm sure with his coaches it's definitely different. But in the cage, we have yet to really see, I think, Brunson, find his striking style, right? Which once he does, like, I think he could definitely win the title here. But who fucking knows? I mean, Izzy is a beast. I mean, like, he's already knocked him out once, and I really don't see why the second fight would be different, unless if Brunson can get those takedowns. That is the only thing that I see going different, because Jan exposed Izzy, right? Jan gave the game plan on how to beat Izzy, which, I mean, before their fight, I called it that Jan's wrestling was going to be the difference, right? It's like when you have a guy that's an amazing wrestler and a guy that's an amazing striker with decent wrestling, it's like the wrestler has the advantage always because it's their choice if the fight goes down or if it stays up. Because if you can't stuff their shots and you don't necessarily have a say on when the fight goes to the ground, when it does, it's like all of the advantage is towards the fucking wrestler, right? And Khabib used this his entire career, which is why he got by with decent striking. Like, it's not like he had like the best hands. Like, it's not like he was gonna outbox guys, but he knocked down Conor just because his wrestling is so good. His wrestling, it gets in your head, and they decide when the fight goes down and when it stays up. And just that fact alone, you can control the pace of a fight, right? So wrestling, I think, is still the most important martial art in all of fighting. Definitely. I mean, of course, if you're only wrestling, if you're just a good wrestler, that's it, you're probably not going to make it far. But Ben Askren made it pretty far, man. I mean, fucking Ben Askren was a beast in his prime. Like, nobody can stop him. I mean, we unfortunately saw Ben come into the fucking UFC when he was not in his prime, which is unfortunate. I mean, I really wish that, that the UFC would have signed him, like, back in the day. And we could have saw GSP versus Ben Askren. Like, imagine that. Imagine that, GSP versus Ben Askren. Oh, my God. I think Ben could have potentially won that. I mean, being realistic, probably not, because I see George. George is a very smart guy, so he's not going to try to out-wrestle Ben, right? So I feel like he would just stuff his shots and then jab his fucking face off and really brutalize Ben. Like, that's what I think would probably happen if both of them did fight in their primes. But yeah, so wrestling is the most important martial art, but you obviously have to have all of it, on top of that. But anyways, I've been fucking rambling here. Brunson looks very, very good. Holland, he's either a guy you love or hate, which I love him, man. I love him, but I have friends, there's a lot of people on Twitter that fucking hate the guy, like, hate him. And it's like, okay, like, Jesus Christ, like, the dude, like, I just love how unique this fucking man is. How calm he stays in the midst of war, that he's cracking jokes, and he's just like, it seems like his pulse doesn't even, fucking raise, which I don't see how you can't respect that, right? That is one of the hardest things that you could possibly do, is staying that calm in the middle of a fucking cage fight. And, like, this guy is, dancing and fucking talking shit and, like, all this. Like, it's fucking great, man. But it's just the type of shit, right? Where in the NFL, the fucking Steelers, right? You had Smith, actually Schuster, right? Where when they were winning, like, this guy would go on the field and dance every fucking game. And when they were undefeated and won, what? It was like 12 or first 12 games, or like 13 games, or like some shit like that. Nobody said shit about Juju dancing, right? But then as soon as the fucking Steelers start losing and start sucking dick, all of a sudden it's fucking Juju's dancing, that it's his fault, like that because he dances on the field, that means that the Steelers got whooped. It's like, how, like, what like about those 12, 13 games where he was dancing every fucking game and they dominated, right? So it's like, it's the same thing with this. It's just like, when Kevin Holland wins, it's just like, oh, this guy's crazy, man. He's wacky. Like, he talks in the fucking cage, like, and like all this shit. And then when he loses, it's just suddenly like, it's this massive flaw, and he has a fucking mental breakdown and all this shit. And it's like, what? Like, come on, people. Like, be fucking critical thinkers here. Like, think about this. Like, I mean, Holland talking had nothing to do with that loss. Just like him talking had nothing to do with his wins. Well, Jacare, I feel like it did, because they were talking back and forth on the fucking ground. Then mid fucking conversation, Kevin Holland rocks Jacare, and you could tell that he wasn't expecting that at all. So there's potential that him talking, has actually set up some, like, wins, because it has to feel so weird to just have a guy so calm and jokey, like it's like sparring, and then he hits you full clip and your fucking knees are buckling, right? Like, it must be a very strange feeling, because most guys, they need to get themselves amped up. They need to get in that headspace, because oh my god, I hate motorcycles. I really hope you guys can't hear that, but douchebags on motorcycles. But anyways, I forgot what the fuck I was saying. Holland is a beast. Brunson is a beast. They will come back, and Holland needs to continue talking. Like, because that's who he fucking is, right? That's how he fights. Like, once you start changing that, it's like, I don't think it'll benefit him in any way. It'll probably hurt him, right? Because I feel like guys perform best when they're just acting naturally, right? Like, I mean, this isn't like the same thing, but I just think of Jones, right? That John Jones, the peak Jones, where he looked the best, was when he was a fucking maniac and fucking partying and like on coke and like doing all this crazy shit. That was peak Jones, right? And then once Jones was like, oh, I'm fucking gonna get serious, I'm gonna cut all of this shit out, like, and I'm gonna be the best fighter possible. And he really wasn't. I mean, he didn't look his best from doing that. So I feel like when you fundamentally change guys, that it really fucks them. I don't think it benefits them, which, granted, like, the Jones thing is completely different, but yeah, I mean, that's just who fucking Holland is. Just let the guy talk. Like, who gives a fuck? So yeah, people, so that's pretty much. Oh, there was also that kid, what the fuck, that got the KO at, excuse me for the burp. But there was that kid that got the KO at with like 1 second left. Grant Dawson, yes, Grant Dawson. That was a crazy fight, because fucking Santos, he was a top prospect back in 2015 or like some shit like that, and then he had to sit out of the sport, I think. I tried to look it up, and there was a listed reason that his hand was hurt from 2017, but I didn't see why he was out from 2015 until 2017. So I don't know if that was his hand also, if he hurt something else, like, that he could have hurt his knee, came back from that, then he hurt his hand, and it's just kind of been, he's just been getting hurt and just hasn't, been able to stay healthy to actually go and fight. Like, I don't know if that's the case, but anyways, that was a close fight. It was like back and forth, and Dawson, man, knocked him out with literally a second left. literally a second left. And man, that is brutal, man. That's the same way that Stipe fucking knocked out Uberim, dude. It's the same exact way. Like, you can't get too comfortable in guard, man, which I think that's what it was. That Santos knew there was like 10 seconds left. He was in his guard and he just got too comfortable. And he left himself wide open, and Grant Dawson saw that and pounced. And man, he was throwing his entire body into those fucking punches, man. He was throwing those from the depths of fucking Michigan, or like fucking wherever this kid's from. But yeah, so that was impressive as fuck. It just says fucking USA. It doesn't even say. Oh my god, that's stupid. Anyways, let's see who else looked good here. Tai fucking Tuivasa. I mean, I call that people, which, I mean, granted, that's not a really hard fight to call. You have a guy in Tai who's a fucking UFC veteran, has fought, a lot of top guys, and he's a fucking beast. And then you have Harry Hunsucker, who took the fight on a week's notice. He's never beat a guy that has a positive record, so I expected Tai to do exactly what he did. Which, granted, Harry, those first 10 seconds, he looked pretty good. He fucking threw some bombs. He cracked fucking Tai, but that didn't last for too long. And then once Tai got a clean shot in, the fucking fight was over. And Max Griffin, of course, Max Griffin. How could I forget Max Griffin? Y'all must have forgot. Max Griffin is a fucking beast, dude. I mean, he got a lot of hype because he beat up Perry back in 2017 or 2018 or some shit like that. And then he lost a few fights. I'm going to look at his record because I'm just spitting off the top of my head here. But yeah, so he beat Perry, and then he fought Alves, Curtis Millender, and Alex Morano, and Alex Cowboy. So those are a lot of tough losses against solid guys, right? So I really like to see the fact, and you could tell that the fucking UFC has a lot of faith in Max, that he lost 4 out of 5 fights and he didn't get cut. And that's because it's 2 of these were extremely close fights. And yeah, Max has a lot of potential. And we saw that with this fight, man. Him and Song had a great fight, man. That was a great fight. It was back and forth. And then fucking Max Griffin landed a 1-2 on Song's chin, and it was a faceplant knockout, and it was brutal. And Song was knocked out for a good 30 seconds. It was actually kind of scary. I never like when guys just lay there for an extended period of time just unconscious. I mean, I don't think anybody likes seeing that, really. So that was kind of scary, but I think Song is relatively good. We tend to say just because this guy got up and he walked off that that he's fine, but with brain trauma you never know, because it rears its head in privacy where we don't really see it, right? Where this guy can he can be completely fine. I mean, he could just feel like he just fucking fell asleep, and then he gets up and then he feels completely fine. But then there's other guys who they get headaches, they get mood swings. There is a lot of things that can happen when you get knocked out. And so I never really, it's weird because you seeing that knockout, it's oh shit, but then afterwards it's I never like seeing a guy taking that much damage. I just think back to Tough when Hall knocked out oh my god, I can't think of that kid's name. But yeah, I mean, the fucking spinning wheel kick, man. I mean, it just brings me back to like that where you're just like, oh my god, that's crazy, and then it's like, ooh, fuck, I really hope that guy is okay. Like, I yeah, I yeah, it's like just a lot of mixed feelings with knockouts like that. But yeah, so Max looked really really good. So yeah, so I mean, pretty much that's my breakdown for this card. Like Max Griffin looked great, Brunson looked great. Holland Holland I think looked pretty good too. Like a lot of people are talking shit, but it's like, look, like the guy's grappling didn't look that great, but his striking did, and it's like, and it didn't matter how much, yeah, which I don't get how Dana said that he had a fucking mental breakdown where it's like, no matter how much he like was getting his ass whipped, like he never quit, he never stopped talking, like he never, like he always had a smile and he was always laughing and joking. Like, it's like, that's so hard when someone's beating your fucking ass and just taking you down at fucking will, right? And he never mentally broke, regardless of what dumbass Dana White says. But anyways, so that fight was good. There was a lot of fight news, We had a lot of big fights get booked. Let's go through them. The first one, TJ Dillashaw is set to make his return against Corey Sandhagen. Which, granted, this was a fight that everybody knew this was the next fight for both dudes. It just makes too much sense. Both guys fucking want it. Like, everybody knew that this was like the next fight. It was just a matter of when and where and signing that piece of paper, right? But so this was not like a huge shock. What's a big shock though is Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira. And the reason why this was a big shock is because Michael Chandler was gonna fight Justin Gaethje, right? And instead of just making that fight for the belt, they take out Justin Gaethje and put in Charles. Which, I mean, rankings-wise, I think Charles earned the shot more than Justin Gaethje, but stylistically-wise, fun-wise, I mean, fucking Chandler Gaethje, I mean, like, it was already booked. That fight was going to be crazy. Why not just throw, like, a belt, right? Because, and, like, that's a bigger fight, too. Chandler versus Gaethje is a way bigger fight than Chandler versus fucking Charles. I mean, because, I mean, if you're not a hardcore fight fan, I doubt you know who, like, fucking Charles is. And Chandler, like, you probably just know him from, like, his past fight that most people don't know about, his decade run in fucking Bellator where he won the belt, what, like 3 times? I mean, fucking Chandler was such a beast. I mean, but regardless, I'm so happy that Chandler gets his shot. He finally gets his shot to prove that he's the best in the fucking world at this weight. And I cannot wait. I have been watching Chandler for literally a decade. I fucking looked. The first fight that I saw from him was in 2011. I've been watching this dude for a decade. I mean, I literally watched his entire career. So it's really nice to see him in the fucking UFC finally, and then getting a shot. Because there's a point there where I thought that Chandler was never gonna come to the fucking UFC. There was a point like a couple years back where he signed some crazy deal. It was like a 5-year, 10-fight deal or some shit like that. Like, it was a massive deal. And once he signed that, I was like, oh, he's just going to stay in Bellator for the fucking rest of his life. But I don't think Chandler was okay with that. Well, I mean, he definitely wasn't, because he came out and said that he wasn't, that he didn't, that he wouldn't sleep right if he never tried the fucking UFC, right? Which, like, I could see why, because in fighting, Bellator, I mean, granted, the lightweight class in fucking Bellator is really, really good. It's really, really stacked. But the UFC is the pinnacle. So I am so happy for him. But this was all set up by Dana White, who made a post saying, "It's official, people. Khabib is retired." And it's like, Dana, he's been retired for 4 months. Your fucking ass has been bugging him. He said no like 20 times, but it just didn't get through fucking Dana. You know, like, yeah, it's just. But that post should actually say, "It's official. I'm gonna finally stop asking him to, like, come back and fucking fight." Because, I mean, like the fucking man, like, was retired, and he was honest, and he's never really wavered from that. But the fact that Dana was pushing him, and then Khabib was like, "Nah, I mean, maybe," like, just because of that little thread. But it's like, Dana, like, he's saying maybe because he fucking loves you, and you just keep bugging him, but, like, he doesn't want to come out like that, and, like, he doesn't want to fight, and I feel like that's pretty clear. And now the weight class can move on, finally. I mean, fucking Dana didn't want to strip him. He did everything he could possibly do for him to not be fucking stripped, right? And an interesting thing here is that Poirier turned down the fight against Chandler so that he could fight Conor, which just goes to show that in fighting now, nothing means more than a paycheck, than a big fucking paycheck, which I don't blame them, right? Because these are prize fighters, right? That first word, prize, is very key. They fight for fucking money. At the end of the day, they get paid. This is their job. So they want to make the most money as they possibly can. And Poirier versus Chandler isn't going to make as much as Poirier versus Conor. So fucking Dustin's like, I don't give a fuck about the belt. I care about those fucking paychecks. Which, I don't know how much Dustin's being paid, because there was something that was saying that he didn't get a cut of the pay-per-view. And he got asked, and then he said that he was well compensated, which is pretty much saying, like, no, I didn't get a share, but they just wrote me a big check. That's what I heard there, which is, like, just kind of fucked up. So, but I'm sure that he got a massive check, and it was the most money he's ever made in any fight. So that's why he wants to fight him a third time, right? So imagine if, like, fucking Conor wins, and then it's like, well, I should fight for like a fourth time, and then fucking Dustin wins, and it's like, well, we have to make this, like, fifth fight, and then they just keep on fighting each other for, like, until just fans don't give a fuck, and then they can't keep fucking milking this. That would fucking be great. But anyways, the weight class is finally moving on, which, I mean, it already has, like, besides fucking Dana White. Like, fucking Dana White's just like, he's just like a crazy ex that's just trying to just make things work. You know, like, oh, like, we could definitely, you know, like, this could definitely work, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, and it's just desperation, but there's no hope that anything is ever going to work out. But then you just see them, you know, with, like, high fucking hopes, and then that's what Dana White is. there is no chance that he is ever going to come back, but not in fucking Dana's head. Dana was trying so fucking hard. But anyways, the last fight here that got booked, that was a huge fight, which will probably be the next guy to fight for the flyweight title, is Cody Garbrandt versus Rob Font. My boy from Massachusetts' own Rob Font, dude. I grew up probably 45 minutes, like an hour from where this dude did. And I watched a fight with him live, and his family was sitting like behind me. And like it was actually pretty cool. I mean, like they were annoying, honestly, because you know, when like a fucking member of like your actually family fights, like, you know, it's emotional. So they were just like screaming and all this shit like the entire time, like right in my fucking ear pretty much. So it was kind of just like, there was just this one girl that was like, I don't know if it was his sister, his girlfriend, or like some shit, but she was just screaming like, Rob Font, Rob Font, Rob Font, just over and over, like throughout the entire fight. And it's like, calm down, fucking lady. Calm down. But anyways, so Font, I'm so glad that he gets this fight. And then Garbrandt, man. I mean, I will bring this up because what concerns me here is that weight cut, is him dropping down. And to that point, we will talk quickly about how there was a girl who fainted on the scale. Not once, but twice. It's fucking Storolenko. Like, I know how to say that like part. So, anyways, Storolenko faints on the scale after she made weight. Well, it wasn't on the scale, but she was about to pass out. She felt that. She took like a step back and fell right on her fucking butt. They tried to stand her up, her fucking knees went, and then the look in her eyes was not good. It was just like, wait, what the fuck happened? Like, where the fuck am I? And then it took her like 2 fucking minutes for her to just kind of sit down and get her actually wits back, and then they let her weigh in again. Like, what? And then she goes up on the scale, makes weight, steps down, passes out again, and has convulsions. Like, literally has a mini seizure, like, on the fucking stage. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, this weight cut stuff is so abysmal, and it's such an unnecessary part of this sport, and it's on the UFC and it's on the state to regulate this and to make sure that people aren't doing extreme weight cuts, because weight cutting will always be a thing in any sport where you have to make a specific weight, but we need to put limits on extreme weight cutting. Which fucking Storolenko, her statement after was just like, oh no, like the weight cut was like actually fine. It's that I made weight too early, and like I made weight at 5 and I couldn't weigh in like until 9, so I was just sitting there for like a couple hours, and then that's what like did it. And it's like, fucking Julia, that is the whole point here. You're cutting so much weight that you can't even sit there for a couple hours without fucking passing out and having convulsions. You're cutting way too much weight. That, like, and you shouldn't be able to. I mean, it's not her fault because there's no rules that are against this. It's like we need to protect fighters from themselves. And I don't really want to go into it too much because I want to make more highly produced videos where I talk about all the near deaths that have happened. But just to name a few, DC, Beeb, and Chris Weidman, 3 former fucking UFC champions, all almost died from cutting weight, right? And And it's not going to take until someone does die. And it's so upsetting that it's going to have to get to that point. It's like, why can't we change it now? Why are we waiting for someone to fucking die? Chris Weidman almost died. DC almost died. It's like why are we gonna wait? Like, why are we gonna wait? Darren Till, he almost died. He fucking went blind. It's like the dude went blind for a fucking hour. And not only that, but made wait and then fought the fucking next day there. Which I forgot what fight that was. Like, I want to say that it was the George fight where he got knocked out. But I'm not entirely sure. But I want to say like it was, because that was his last fight that like he made fucking that fucking weight, dude. Fucking welterweight was like Darren Till, which like he was saying that too. He was just like, why is the UFC letting me fight at welterweight? I'm not a fucking welterweight. I'm cutting like 30 pounds. This shouldn't be fucking legal. Like, Darren Till was saying that when he was fighting at fucking welterweight. And he said that he'll continue to do like this until he's banned, until he's told that he can't. And he obviously, you know, he like moved up because it got to a point that he fucking was going blind and shit like that from like cutting weight. So it's like, cutting weight is so bad for you and the most dangerous part of this entire sport by far. It's there is a massive problem and something needs to be done here. And I bring this up because being a responsible fight league, why are you letting Garbrandt fight at flyweight? I mean, Garbrandt is not going to hit that weight without killing himself and being skin and bones and cutting a dangerous amount of fucking weight. But Cody is a beast. He's a fucking gangster, and he sees that title shot's right there. That if he wins this fight, it's a fucking title shot. So he is going to make that fucking weight. So it's up to the UFC to step in and be like, no, bro, we're not gonna let you do this. You're going to physically hurt yourself. You're going to diminish your fucking chin by cutting that much weight, which I guarantee it. It just blows my fucking mind. But the UFC doesn't give a fuck. The UFC doesn't care, because if you make weight, they don't care. And all of this crazy shit that goes down cutting weight is in privacy, so nobody sees it, right? And that if the fighter doesn't come out and say something, no one will know that this guy had fucking seizure, that this guy passed out, right? So it's like, it's just like, there needs to be stricter rules, and there needs to be more weigh-ins, right? Like, you need to weigh these guys a month out, and then 2 weeks out, and then that week of that fight when like they land, then when they actually weigh in, and then the day of the fight. If you do that, if you weigh in guys 4 to 5 times, like spread out throughout a month, it's like, I mean, fucking ONE FC has proven that it works, because if you want to cut a bunch of weight, fight night, you're going to be back up to that fucking weight, and in one, if that happens, and you're over by, I think, 5% or 7% or something like that, that if you gain more than like that back, then you have to move up, right? Which I think is very fair rules, because the only reason that guys are cutting this much weight is because everybody does it. And so if you don't do it, you will be outsized, you'll be outmatched. So it's just such a terrible part of this sport. And I think Garbrandt, man, my fucking stutter's just turning on at the fucking end here, but Garbrandt at at the end of the day, I really don't think that this flyweight move is a good idea. And the UFC doesn't give a shit because that weight class is dying and they need some big fights. And Garbrandt is a big name, and him fighting for that belt is a big fight, because the flyweights, I mean, they're not out of the fucking water entirely, right? I like all it's gonna take is for a couple boring fights to like fucking happen, and then I think Dana will probably pull it, right? It's like he's Triple C brought back that fucking weight class, right? Like they were on the verge of shutting down that entire weight class, and then fucking Triple C revives it from the fucking grave. And then you had Dyson win it. Then I feel like going from Triple C, who was an amazing champion, to Dyson, who's one of the most exciting champions in UFC history, that it really put that life support back into the flyweight class. But as soon as that's gone, I think that the flyweight class is not, necessarily safe. I mean, it's definitely good for like the next 2 years or some shit. But if it gets to the point where it was beforehand, where they felt like it was stagnant, I think they'll probably just get rid of it, because I know that the flyweight class, it costs them more cash than like they make from it. So yeah, but anyways, that is my point about that, people. I feel like I am rambling. It's been 50 minutes. I'm just putting in mic time here, as I know nobody's going to be watching this. I'm literally getting no views on these, which kind of sucks, but that is what I'm prepared to do, people. I'm prepared to put in the work and show up twice a week, every single week, and hopefully one day I could get 10 fucking viewers. Yeah, but who knows? Anyways, people, there's no one fucking listening. I mean, like, I might as well just stop this shit here. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's nobody's gonna fucking listen to this shit. But Monday, oh no, this is like the Monday podcast. I will be back Friday with a new podcast. We got Stipe versus Francis. That's gonna be wild. That's gonna be a wild fight, and I can't wait to break that down and talk about that. So I will see you all Friday. I hope you have a great week, and I love you all. See you later.